Hi students, today we will take a look at adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Let's start our lesson. Let's take a look at this problem. 1/2 plus 1/6. Notice that each fraction has a different denominator. How can we make the fractions look the same? Let's create a fraction bar to help. To solve this addition problem, I drew a bar and divided it into 2 equal pieces. I shaded in one part to represent one of 2 pieces. Next, I drew another bar and divided it equally into 6 different pieces to represent 1/6, which was shaded. I have to change them to make them have the same denominator by dividing the fraction into equal parts. Now, let's make the fraction bar the same. I divided the fraction bar into 6 equal pieces: 1/2, 1/6, 1/2, 1/6. I will now divide the bar into equal parts. I notice that 1/6 has the larger denominator, so I'm going to now divide each bar and make them both have the same amount, which is 6. I will then shade in 1/2 of each bar to make 1/2 equal 3/6, and to shade in 1 out of the 6 because that already is 6. Now I will go ahead and add my pieces together. I notice that I shaded in 3 on the first one, then I shaded in the 1 from the 1/6, and I have a total of 4/6 when I add 3/6 and 1/6 together. Now 4/6 can be reduced to a smaller fractional number. So I will divide my 6 pieces and break them down into 3 separate entities, which gives me a total of 2 out of 3 pieces being shaded. So my final answer is 2/3. You may be wondering how I came up with the final answer 2/3. When we talk about reducing a fraction, we talk about breaking it into the smallest parts that it can have. So if I take a look, I notice that 6 can be broken down into 3 equal parts. Now that I've discovered that, I have shaded in 2 of the 3 parts, which would equal 2/3. Let's try another problem. 1/4 plus 1/2. First, I will draw my fraction bars and I will divide them into 4 equal sections. The first bar is divided out into 4 equal sections, and I've shaded in one part of this. To make 1/2, I have shaded in 2 of the 4 pieces. Now that I have finished, I will shade in I'll make a new fraction bar and I'll shade in 3 of the 4 pieces. So 1/4 plus 1/2 is equal to 3/4. Finally, let's try a subtraction problem. When we subtract, we still notice that we are able to take the steps that we did similar to addition and take a look to see if they have the same denominators, which they do not. I'm going to create a fraction bar for each fraction. I noticed my first bar has 3 sections. My second bar would have 2 sections. So Again, I notice that they have unlike denominators. When I list the multiples of 3 and 2, I notice that they have 6 in common. So I will divide my fraction bars into 6 equal pieces. I will shade in 4, 6, which is the same as 2/3. I will then shade in 3 of the 6, which is the same as 1/2. Finally, I will create a new fraction bar and shade in 4 pieces. Then I will take away 3 pieces, which leaves me with a final answer of 1 piece. So my final answer is 1 out of 6, which is 1/6. I hope this helps you understanding adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators.